India's declaration of resolute support for the Philippines to protect its national sovereignty has angered China, amid tensions between Manila and Beijing in the East Sea. In the context of recent consecutive incidents between Chinese Coast Guard ships and Philippine ships in the East Sea, there was a notable development this week. Indian Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar met his Philippine counterpart Enrique Manalo in Manila on March 26. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar said India firmly supports the Philippines in protecting its national sovereignty and wants to explore new areas of cooperation, including defense and security. India is actively joining the anti-China club. Mr. S. Jaishankar's statement immediately angered China. Chinese newspapers also published comments with a critical tone towards India. Maritime disputes are matters between the countries involved and any third party has no right to intervene, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian said at a press conference on June 26. -3, when commenting on the statement of the Indian Foreign Minister. A day later, the Global Times published a commentary with the headline, "India naively intervenes in the East Sea issue." India is actively joining the anti-China club, hoping to put more pressure on China by siding with the Philippines on the East Sea issue, Global Times wrote on March 27. According to this Chinese newspaper, the Indian Foreign Minister's statement is similar to the stance of the US and Washington's allies on the East Sea issue. India's intervention in the South China Sea issue is unwise. The disputes between China and the Philippines do not involve any third party. India's so-called support is nothing more than imitation, and this will only make India look like a follower of the US. In the long run, India will only gradually tie itself to the US, thereby becoming a pawn in the US's global hegemonic network and eroding India's strategic autonomy, Global Times argued. More risks and losses for India in the future. This newspaper added that India's involvement in the East Sea issue also makes the China-India border issue more complicated. Currently, China and India are working together to resolve the border issue through dialogue, and the common interests of the two countries far outweigh the differences. However, if New Delhi continues to misjudge the situation and underestimate China's determination and will, it will only lead to more risks and losses for India in the future, Global Times warned. Recently, there have been a series of incidents between Chinese Coast Guard ships and Philippine ships in the East Sea. On March 5, a Chinese Coast Guard ship collided with a Philippine Coast Guard ship and sprayed water cannons at a Philippine supply ship when Manila was on a mission to supply its soldiers at St. Thomas Bank. On March 23, Chinese Coast Guard ships continued to use water cannons to attack Philippine supply ships. Recently, the Philippines accused Chinese Coast Guard ships and other ships of harassing, blocking, and carrying out dangerous actions against Philippine ships in the East Sea. Philippine Foreign Secretary Enrique Manalo said the country wants to resolve maritime disputes with China peacefully, but Beijing, stop harassing us. Meanwhile, the US condemned China for continuously obstructing Philippine ships from exercising freedom of navigation at sea and disrupting supply activities for military personnel at St. Thomas Shoal. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that Washington maintains its commitment to protect its ally the Philippines if Manila is attacked by armed forces in the East Sea.